सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुसाक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरुवे ॐ भूर्भुवस्सुः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्यास्तरणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. So we were on chapter 16. We are the last two shlokas are left. So Lakshmi has come for the first time. So I don't know if you will connect with, because we are in the middle, but
It's okay.
yeah,
I'll listen.
yeah. Just if
Go
you
ahead.
have any questions, just kind of.
Yeah.
So we were on chapter. Have you done Bhagavad Gita before?
I listen every day, but I didn't read it every day.
That's okay. That's okay. So we are on chapter 16, where they have Devi Sampati and Asurik Sampati. That's the topic. So we have gone through the Lakshana of it. What are Devi's Sampati and all that kind of stuff. What we should avoid. And just to make the connection from the last time, anybody remembers the three things they were talking about? Is here? Anger. What was it?
Ego, anger, and
First
It was
the
desire,
and then there's the anger, and then there's the greed.
Greed, correct. So he said those are the three gates of hell, it said. And I was just thinking about it that we have to put the desire in the right context. Because sometimes when you say desire, we get totally confused. What does it mean? So let's just kind of discuss. When they talk about desire, what is the basis of it? That it's a desire, we should not have it. Does that mean that we should not get anything? Or what does it mean when we say not have a desire?
Well, do you mean the necessities? One are necessities that are necessary. Those are sort of a desire, but what involves is the egocentric. What is, for myself? What ego is the main thing to avoid. What is in general is, for the whole is good. You're doing
Yes,
a service.
yeah. So that is one point. And I think the other point that I was thinking of, go
desire
ahead.
at no cost. You must have it, Like you go out of
Clinging
your way
desire,
to
you're talking about, that's also
anything to
exactly.
achieve
Those
that.
are very destructive desire. Then you compromise your values. When I want it, that's it.
That's it.
And the absolute Vedantic level is that all this world is, the substratum is the main thing. So if you think that by fulfilling the desires you're going to get happiness, that's where you're wrong. So they are not saying that, hey, don't use things, whatever is in your product, whatever you get, whatever you earn, by all means enjoy, share, and all those things. But to have this wrong notion that if I get this, I'll be happy, that's where it's coming from. I think that's the main thing. And then we already know that anger is something that if your desire is not fulfilled, then you get anger. And greed is if we don't have the understanding, the more we fulfill the desire, the more we want. We all know that, the cycle. So that's where we were. So now he was saying the last verse he said that he did.
So I sent everybody that Sanjeev Kumar and Krishna dialogue.
Oh, was that just a dialogue or the whole movie you
No,
said?
just the dialogue.
Okay, I
It
didn't
is
get a chance,
exactly
but I
about
was-
that.
Yeah, I see.
Because he is desiring few rupees and Krishna is telling him, this is not going to help,
Right.
but I'll give you that.
And he gave him so much more, and
Oh
he
no,
still.
he keeps giving him and then
Yes.
he keeps coming to him and say, more?
Right. So I think that all should watch it, whatever
Yeah,
he said.
that's
That'll
how
be
it
good. So then he said that last one was, I'll just read the English translation. A man who is liberated from these three gates to darkness, O Kaunteya means Arjun, practices what is good for him and thus goes to supreme goal.
No,
So he was just saying that.
Great
Huh?
English, Sanskrit.
No, I'm just recapping from last time.
Oh.
I haven't come to that. So just to keep a connection, otherwise I might just start talking. So basically, he said that okay, you avoid the three things, but then what? You have to do something positive with all that energy saved, because all our energy goes in all those three things. Now you have understood, so you have saved the energy. So he's saying do practice what is good for you, you know, and go to the supreme goal by practicing. You're going to go, just not by just sitting around. So now the question comes, who's going to tell me what to practice? Because if I think from my own mind, I might make mistakes. I don't know. Sometimes we have dilemma, moral dilemma. Should I do this? Should I do that? What do I do? So that's what it answers, that what you should be doing. Where you get the answer. So that's the next one. So the Sanskrit is Yaha Shastra Vidhi Mruts. I practiced it and now I just bombed it again. Ya Shastra Vidhi Mrutsujya.
Shastra Vidhi
Mrutsujya. Vartate Kamakaratah.
Vartate
Kamakaratah.
Nasa Siddhimavapnoti. Na sukham na paragatim. So I will do the Sanskrit and then you can do. Yaha means who, Shastra Vidhim, the ordinance of the scriptures. Utsrujya, having cast aside. Vartate means to act. Kamakarataha, under the impulse of desire. Na means not. Saha is he. Siddhim means perfection. Avapnoti, attains. Na, not. Sukham, happiness. Na, not. Param means supreme. Gatim means goal. So you have to speak a little louder. Huh?
He who, having cast aside the ordinance of the scriptures, acts under the impulse of desire, attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme goal. The divine teacher of the Gita explains that when the ruinous expenditure of vitality, both psychological and intellectual, is stopped and energy is conserved, it has to be applied in the right direction. If again the energy is misused, the chances are that the seeker would dash himself down with a mightier bump to the depths of a miserable life. Raman and such other mighty asuras of the Puranas are typical examples of personalities that perform fierce tapascharya, penance, accumulated inner dynamism and yet achieved but a thorough self-destruction. So mighty was their strength that they made their own generation rock, crumble and bite the dust. To avoid such a calamity to the individual as well as to the world around him, a severe warning must necessarily be given, and these two closing stanzas contain such a warning.
So everybody understood the background. And everybody knows Ravan, that he was not only the very extremely learned, but he was the greatest devotee of Shiva.
Yeah.
But then what went wrong? That's what it's. Okay.
He who disobeys the Shastras and acts under the impulse of desire, such
You
a
don't
man...
have that one paragraph in there? Unfortunately, not realizing. Okay, that's fine. Go ahead.
He who disobeys the Shastras and acts under the impulse of desire, such a man stands to gain no benefit at all. Here the term Shastra need not necessarily be understood as a bundle of ritualistic injunctions, strictly followed and sacredly insisted upon by the fanatic orthodox. The textbooks discussing the theory of truth, Brahma, Vidya, and the technique of self-perfection, yoga, are called Shastras, while other subsidiary books which explain and throw light upon the Shastras are called Prakarana texts. The latter explain the categories in the science of Vedanta. Since the Gita is a philosophical poem exhaustively explaining the theory and practice of God realization, it is considered as a Shastra.
So let's just pause here for a minute because this is very important. That when they talk about that we should follow the Shastra, he's making it very clear that they are not just talking about कि भाई ये पूजा करो वो यज्ञ करो वो सब बहुत अच्छी बात है, we should all do, but he's going to the absolute important thing that it's talking about Brahma Vidya and that yoga and Yoga Shastra. And here, I don't know if all of you probably know, after every chapter when it ends, there is a sentence that we say, Om Tat Saditi and all that. इसमें सीधा लिखा हुआ है Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre, Krishna Arjuna Samvade. So this Bhagavad Gita is considered Brahma Vidya and the Yoga Shastra, both. Because sometimes they have one and the other, this one has. So it tells you what God is, what is your relationship, what is world, how to achieve it. Both of them are. So this is like a complete Shastra over here. So he's saying that that's what they're talking about. So we should not just, because I heard this something very so great this morning. He's saying that the purpose of all the spiritual practices, your mind start questioning, who am I? If that is not coming, everything else becomes waste. So when they, sometimes, you know, we have to do those practices because in the beginning the mind is so what should I say, chanchal, or so disrupted, and so many thoughts are there that people, that thought will never come until you do those rituals, until your mind quietens down, and after it quietens down, then that question might come. You know, that, hey, who am I?
In Gurukul, they used to emphasize on Swadhyaya.
Yeah.
Every day, Swadhyaya is the study of scriptures.
Right.
And when you study every day, then the question automatically comes.
Right.
When you keep reading every day, it's a necessity, and you read, and then the questions start coming. Who am I? What is all this?
Right. So he said that purpose of all the sadhana is that question, because once that question pops up in your head, you will make effort to find out, because it will keep bugging you, that question, you know, and then you will go more and more deep into it. But there are few people, unfortunately, they may just get stuck into their ritual, dharam, karam, you know, mera agla janam, pichla janam, ye wo, and they just stop there, you know, and that's a danger. So since we are student of Vedanta, we should, you know, kind of think about these questions. Very important.
Under the impulse of desire, the theme developed in the previous two stanzas is that a seeker of the higher should of necessity renounce desire, anger and greed. We have explained earlier that anger is a product when desire is throttled, and greed is a logical consequence when a passionate heart gains some fulfillment of desires. Therefore, desire is the root cause. Naturally, Krishna contrasts the way of life advocated in the Gita with her ordinary way of life, wherein the main impulse is desire. The seekers are advised not to disobey the commands given in the Gita Shastra and live under the impulse of their baser appetites and lower instincts.
So you know why we have to obey. Otherwise, mind is such that if you don't contemplate and don't think, mind always take you to negativity. Why don't you say you have something in your mind? And
No,
it's
I'm a very positive person, so
you
normally
are so
always-
you must have done some sadhana. You already have. That's why you connect to this so quickly. But I'm talking about average individual.
Yeah.
You know, immediately doubt starts coming.
Quite a few people are negative.
Yeah.
yes, I've seen.
You are blessed, and maybe you have done. I
my
see you
previous
connect so
batch.
nicely to this. You have not studied all these things, but you do. Yes,
See,
Maybe in my
our
previous-
whole education is based on questioning. From the beginning, we are told, don't believe this, just question. It should be the opposite. You should
I mean,
believe.
question is good in a Hindu Shastras. It's very encouraged. That's why it is like this Upanishads are all question answer. Bhagavad Gita is, but what to ask and why to ask, not just for the intellectual
Proving it
exercise,
wrong, yeah.
just kind of for the sake of argument or debates, like they have this fierce debates and all that. And here, sometimes I always ask my son that in political debates, why they are always putting down the other person? Why can't they say what they can do better? Right? It's so logical. They spend like 80% of the time, yeah, why don't you say that what you are going to do? Then people can decide what they do.
Because people don't believe them. So when they say they can do better, they think they are lying. So when they criticize other guy, then they say, oh yeah, that guy is telling the truth.
I mean, to me, I will believe a person when I want to see what are they made up of, what are they going to do. That is a lot more higher than putting somebody else.
Right.
That's what I was trying to get at.
Somebody else want to read? You want to read?
You have the book? Yeah, you read it. I didn't know you brought
Page
the book.
1084. Last paragraph.
Okay, so
Attains,
next paragraph.
attains neither joy.
Attains neither joy. That's what you want to do.
Right.
Yeah, आप दोनों के पास
Yeah,
किताब है.
yeah.
That's good. So we can share.
Okay. Attains neither joy, not success, not hope. What exactly would be the harm if one did not implicitly live the way of life advocated in Gita? The consequences of such an unintelligent and naughty disregard of the right way of life is clearly indicated here. Propelled by desires, coaxed by greed, torn by anger, and constantly dancing to the changing tunes of the lusty flesh, an individual comes to live a life of restless agitation and tyrannical passions. Such a man cannot feel any happiness or attain any cultural development. Therefore, next is the conclusion.
So I mean, so it's so obvious, right? If we are constantly have this, like he said, propelled by desire, coaxed by greed, or torn by anger, we're going to have a miserable life. You don't even have to go to a place called hell. You will live in hell in your own mind. That's what he's talking about. So now what should we be doing? That's the next one. So I'll do the Sanskrit. Tasma kshatam pramanam te
Tasma shastram pranamante.
karya karya vyavastitau
Karya karya pravistitau.
Jnatva shastra vidhanoktam
Shastra shastra vidhanoktam.
karma karturna harhasi.
Karma kartu mahasi.
आप संस्कृत करोगे? No?
इसमें है नहीं।
अच्छा इसमें नहीं है. आप में है? करोगे?
Tasmat, therefore, Shastram, Shastra, Varmanam, authority, they, Karya Vyavastitau, in determining what ought to be done and what ought not to be done. Gyatva, having known, Shastra Vidhanoktam, what is said in the ordinance of Shastras, Karma, action, Kartum, to do, Iha, here in this world, Arhasi, should.
You can read it.
Therefore, let the scriptures by thy authority
Be thy authority.
Be your authority, it says.
okay, it's by it's here.
Hereby, yeah, be thy authority.
Be the authority in determining what ought to be done and what ought not to be done. Having known what is said in the ordinance of the scriptures, thou shouldest act here in this world. You want to go ahead and read? Or
Yeah.
want
So
to-
no, yeah. Basically, it's going to say that you should use shastras as a road map for yourself. I just wanted to bring this point up that Bhagavad Gita is, in my mind, one of the most important shastras for Hindus, because we don't have time to go read all the Upanishads. We don't have time. Vedas, we won't understand anything easily. They're so difficult. So here, the Upanishads are the sar of all the, means essence of all the Vedas, and then Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all Upanishads. So if you have thoroughly studied this, understood this, you literally got what message Vedas are trying to give you, roadmap. And I think that in Chinmaya Mission we call it GPS, is Guru Positioning System. Instead of, it's like without GPS, can we handle our life these days? all of us. We will be lost. They say you will be lost without. Means guru means they are bringing the message of this. And the reason it's a guru because if we start reading ourselves, there is a danger that we will misunderstand and we will do more harm because they're very powerful things. And if you misunderstand, and we see in the name of religion how much atrocities are done in this world because those are powerful tools. And if you think about it, when I should not say it too loud, but how sometimes Christians say, if you don't believe in Jesus, you will go to hell. What they mean is, if you don't do what Jesus is saying, you're going to be in hell. And it's the same message here. Think about it. They just think that that God only comes as Jesus. But in our Hindus, we have such large heart that God can come as Jesus, Krishna, Rama, God knows how many
We are
people.
gods.
Yeah, exactly. We can also, when in our higher conscious,
If you tell the Christian you are God, they'll kick you
they
out.
will slap you.
Yes.
Yeah. But see how their own Shastra they are misunderstanding. Because somebody was saying you take, everybody agrees that if you take Buddha, Jesus, Krishna, essence of what they're saying is the same. So if you don't do, yes, you will live in hell because you will live in the hell of your own mind because of the greed, anger, and this thing. That's what it means, actually. So you can read that.
Therefore, because of the line of argument started in the last three stanzas, the seeker of an ampler life must necessarily follow the authority of the scriptures in planning his way of life. The right conduct in life can be determined only when the individual has correct knowledge of what is to be pursued and what is to be avoided. The grand road to truth is the same for all. It cannot be determined by each pilgrim according to his whims and fancies. Shastras are declared by those who have traveled the road many a time. And when the rishis supply us with a map of the road to perfection, we, the humble pedestrians, must pursue the path faithfully and come to bless ourselves.
So everybody got it that because
Humble
they have
pedestrians.
already gone on it. So it's like, why should we not listen to them, right?
We are the humble pedestrians.
Yes, and now that I'm reading this, I went to this trip, right? If we didn't know that to take help of those people who have been there 10 times or 100 times or whatever, we would never reach there because the mountains are like, oh my God, even anywhere, and they will tell us कि भाई ये danger है, it is so obvious. In the worldly thing we do that, and here we are trying to get the highest thing, so we should follow, these.
Having known, therefore, before setting out on a pilgrimage to that goal, every seeker is required to study intelligently the scriptures, which are the reports left for our guidance by those who successfully walked the path earlier. A correct knowledge and a clear intellectual vision of the goal and of the direction in which it lies, and perhaps of the possible difficulties en route, are the unavoidable prerequisites for a seeker. You should act here. 90% of the seekers perhaps know the Shastras exhaustively in all their details as explained above. But alas, how few of them discover in themselves the courage to live, the will to pursue, and the patience to wait till the Supreme is realized within themselves. Naturally, Lord Krishna closes the chapter with the injunction that man should act here without desire, anger, or greed. This is the right way of action as exhaustively discussed in a previous chapter.
He's talking about chapter 3, Karma Yoga
Yes.
chapter. So why don't you explain that in your own words if you want to? If you wish to.
Go ahead.
Sometimes I feel I'm only talking. So there are 2 points he said. So everybody understood that he's encouraging us to use the Shastras as a road, people who have done it before to take their guidance. And then he's saying having known, and he explained the word, because here the verses are so power packed because Krishna Bhagavan didn't have time. he was a battlefield. He had to bring the entire thing. So it's like they say Bhagavad Gita is so. You can come in the shade here. Yeah, please do. Yeah, because I also cannot sit in the sun. Yeah, just make yourself comfortable. If you want to move also, Nisha, you're okay in the sun?
You're
I think she's enjoying it.
Okay, fine. Everybody be comfortable. So basically he's saying that first you have to know what you're doing. So he's encouraging that before before embarking on a journey, we always study where we are going, where we are going to stay. Very few people like just take backpack and just keep going, you know. So he's telling the same thing that first you completely study what it is, and you will know what are the dangers. And now we know that those three things, you know, anger, greed, they're going to take you to hell. So then we will avoid those things. And then, but then the next paragraph is saying there are people who will study the Shastra, they can quote everything, and they will be biggest pandits, but they don't practice anything what they preach. So that last one, he's saying that then you should act. And I think that Bhagavad Gita, the Karma Yoga is so strongly pushed in there, so strongly pushed that, you know, if all of us, we have to just do it, because just knowing it, nothing is going to happen, you know. So that's the message over here he's giving, that use the Shastras, you know, understand it, study it, then go out act in the world.
It's true, but sometimes the mind is so strong, knowing even, like you said, you know the Shastras, but it still wants to do its own way, which is against the Shastras.
So Arjun asked the same exact question in Bhagavad Gita. He said, what compels somebody to do wrong action?
Yeah, but
So he told you, and Krishna Bhagavan gave the answer. So he said it is a desire and anger born out of Rajoguna in yourself. Born out of Rajoguna.
There is another solution for that is like throughout our life we go through this battle how to control mind.
Right.
Once we learn how to control the mind, then we can do whatever we want. And for that, we need to practice on regular basis. What usually we do, we get up in the morning, the mind says, oh, let's sleep for a little bit more. And we like it and we just snug in again. So we don't, like how we discipline a child, same way we have to discipline our mind more. And here everybody's above 50. So let me tell you one thing.
Just make it 60.
Yeah, 50, 60, yeah. So to control the mind becomes harder once you get older.
I mean, there are two
Oh,
ways.
no, I don't
yeah.
think so.
Okay, there
I
are
think
two
it's
sides to
easy.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It may be. Yeah, go ahead. Say why.
I
it's
think
easy.
you have a calmer mind and you think rationally more because of the experience.
You have
also.
experience, and some people actually become, जैसे बोलते हैं ना हिंदी में चिड़चिड़े हो जाते हैं ज़्यादा, because they have not contemplated upon those things. They are still in the sansar. The more you think about it, that this is all a play and all, it's like, hey, why am I sweating about stupid things, right? Then if you, that's why you need the Shastras.
You become more organized, you start thinking, but control over mind becomes very less.
Clear the clutter in your mind and around you.
I think that's what it is, because when you say this is, it's going to come that because we are going to our Mandukya Upanishad, it will tell you very clearly that what is a good mind is not the one that you suppress. That is a horrible thing, because it will always come out. But with true understanding, sublimation, they use the word, right? And sublimation is like, I have a good understanding that why I should not do this,
Sure.
because I want my own peace. Yeah, sorry. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Now next
We are
week
going
use
there.
that one.
She will.
Okay.
उस बेचारी को मारो.
Yeah.
She was a nice lady. Yeah.
Yeah, she was very
Yeah, she was
helpful.
very- she was very thankful that
she
we
said
had
we can move the chairs out for you or whatever you want.
She said she was willing to pay for some money also for us to go
okay,
there. She
you
was
cannot-
that far, you know.
Although that guy
Yeah,
wasn't
it was
there.
really nice. So anyway,
Actually,
I think
the-
I'm having a good time staying outside.
Yeah, the owner, she just moved in, and so she didn't know they have a yoga room.
Oh, that's okay.
So that's why she.
Right. Yeah, so we were talking about sublimation versus suppression. So all the sadhana is actually to purify the mind. But there are so many people who will do so much puja, yag, ye, wo, and unke anger to unke पूरा नाक पे पर
God,
चढ़ा
they are
रहता है.
so
For
wicked
everything they
sometimes.
are irritated. It's like, कितना भी जितना माला फेरते उतना एंगर उनका बढ़ता जाता है.
And
So
believe me, when you grow
Yeah,
older,
it's like, give me
then
more
your
anger.
body is the
give me
one you
more
are mad
greed.
at more than anybody else.
I'm sorry, what did you? Yeah.
When you
what did
grow older, you're mad at your own body more than anybody else.
No, why are
Then
you
why
mad at
should
the
you
body?
be at the
Exactly.
body?
It's a body ka dharma ही वो है. That's what Shastra will say.
When the body doesn't,
They call it dharma of
When
the
the
body
bo-
is to be born, to grow, decay,
when the
and death.
body doesn't function, then you get chidchida.
I know, but if you know very well, you say,
It's
okay.
easy to
That
say
is
when
just
you are
only
young.
body.
No.
Huh?
I'm
Well,
also
it's
getting
just
there,
the body,
believe me.
not
I
you.
went through last 2 weeks. You guys didn't even notice.
What you went through.
See, normal testosterone level in a human being is 300 to 800. Mine was down to 26.
Why were you
What
measuring?
level? What is that?
No,
That's
because my
what-
body didn't function.
And
So
you
the
were still
doctor-
walking, talking, and eating.
No, I was doing, but it was very different. So what I'm saying is, so I went to the doctor, he did the test, and then he said, oh, yeah, it is the lowest he has seen ever.
Oxygen level?
No,
What is
testosterone.
Testosterone level.
Oh, testosterone.
And that happened because in 2007 I was given some medicine which are cancer drugs. So they cause that thing. So what I'm telling is I experienced that last 2 weeks.
I think that to me, that what has happened in the medical world is that over-analysis, over-treatment is happening, and they don't have the holistic
No,
picture
it's
in the
nothing
West.
to do with that. It's normal.
I think
The-
what he's saying is true. I've seen that older people, when they cannot do things which they used to do,
Yeah.
they get frustrated, and that frustration is on their body. Hey, why I can't do it?
Yeah.
I've seen that happen.
No,
Why
of
it
course,
happens,
of course.
why
It
it
is,
happens.
but then we have to discuss that how to make it less, because
Right,
that's
I'm
the
saying,
whole thing.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand, but I'm just saying so.
But that's
Just
it.
don't blame the 50 people. The 70 people also have problems.
What's that?
I mean,
Let
older
us-
people
let us
also have
include,
problems.
exclude the older people.
See, the thing is that in the way I understand, okay?
See, अल्लाह मेहरबान तो मैन पहलवान वो तो ठीक है
Allah to sabhi pehलवान hota hai. We
तो
just
मैन
don't see it.
पहलवान होता है तो कोई
We
प्रॉब्लम
want
नहीं
Allah to be pehलवान because the way we want Him to do. That's the problem. He already knows what is good for us. And what I'm trying to get from this class is that all of us have all kind of aches, pain, issues, and everything. How do we make it a little bit better for ourselves? Right?
Learn to forgive your body.
Yeah, to forgive exactly. And
Yeah.
and body is no
That's the
matter what
mess.
you do, one day it's going to go in the dust, and we just have to accept that and do the best with it. And as we age, we got to make our activities less and withdraw accordingly, because if a 80-year-old man wants to do what a 20-year-old do, we're going to bomb, right? So, and here I hate to say, but in the West, that's the whole idea. Oh, look young forever. Look, why can't you age gracefully? Why don't we change it to because aging nobody can beat. I don't care what they do. There is even a company which takes your body and preserves it, right?
You can get your
Cryogenics
DNA
or
preserved and
something.
then
Because
200
they're
years
hoping
later you
that
can come
one
back.
day.
I don't agree with that point that why you don't want to look young. You want to try hard.
No, the
so that you
reason
can
for
stay
looking
young as
young,
long
like,
as
oh, I want to look beautiful. Hey, after you are.
beautiful is different thing.
So when you say young, meaning you explain what young means. Can we compete to look like a 20-year-old?
Well, I think he meant maybe healthy.
Healthy is nobody's
with
saying
a lot
healthy.
of vigor.
Healthy and vigor is not. That's not what we are.
And
I'm
your
trying
heart
to say.
has to be young.
No, and heart can be young because when the person never. It's like the only body is aging. The atma doesn't change. So then heart can be young forever. True, but I'm trying to get the right context out of it. That's all I'm doing. I understand what you're saying, because it's something like you have a car. What is the function of a car? That it takes you from one place to another. So to do that, you have to keep the car healthy. You got to make sure you give it gas. You got to make sure that it is tuned properly. And because if the car is not going to be doing, you can't even go from A to B. But can we have the same car forever? No, these are very important things to think about. Can we have it for after a while? After 20 years, hey, this is gone, man. I got to get a new one. But in those 20 years, if you want to make function, do it. So same way, we have to have the correct relationship with the body, because people get so obsessed with body that they forget that it's a vehicle to get somewhere. And in the end, you have to still drop it. So nobody's saying that don't take care of your body, don't do all those, but then it has to be in the right proportion and with the right understanding, with that eventually it is going to, go down in its capacity like any other. It's a machine. That's it. I think that's the only point I'm talking about.
I know. I was supposed to eat that kala jamun and go. That was my plan.
Which kala jamun?
The one she made.
Oh.
So I'm on borrowed time now. So if
Oh,
I
you
become chidchida because of that, that is part of the plan.
Okay, now there's one
Take
more.
it again. Don't.
One more thing I want to say. All of us on our borrowed time, not only you.
Even
All
mine
of
was
us.
declared borrowed time.
Yes, from day one.
Day one.
Day one. I think we can move there.
Yeah, sure.
Because food you'll have. I think
Right,
people will
right.
come here also.
Okay, let me, and then I can record better too.